The Ford Ranger is really a fantastic truck with issues that can easily be worked around. Sure, they are issues, but all vehicles have issues. Even the very reliable Ford Ranger 3rd Gen that lasted 14 years. Well, I'm here to better prepare you for potential issues that may come up during the time you own one of these trucks, or simply help educate you on your future purchase. Let's get started. On the 3-liter and 4-liter engines, the camshaft synchronizer acts up and starts squeaking or chirping while the engine is running. Squeeze, squeeze. This usually happens around 60 to 100,000 miles. You can lubricate it by just lifting the sensor itself and squirting oil onto it to ultimately lubricate all the working components within the synchronizer. Or you can simply replace it. Either way, both processes are pretty easy. If you have a loose rear end, then most likely your shackles and hangers may be rusty and probably broken. See this? Basically the leaf spring is being supported by only the truck bed because it's completely detached. You will need to basically remove the old shackles that have been rusted to hell, press out the old bushing, then finally installing all new hardware. It may sound easy, but it can actually be a bit labor intensive. On the 2001 to 2004 4 liters, you may experience timing chain rattle on cold startups. The timing chain tensioner usually fails around 70,000 miles, so replacing it is a necessity. There is one on top of the engine, which is decently easy to replace, and another on the passenger side of the engine. If you catch it early enough, you may not need to do any more repairs. If you let it rattle for too long, you will end up cracking the plastic guides, which are not as easy to replace. There are many reports of slipping automatic transmissions and hard shifts. If you are getting a gear ratio error code and an electrical circuit code, then most likely the valve body on the 4R44E or the 5R55E transmission has excessive wear. You can get to the valve body by removing the trans oil pan and the filter. Almost always receive both these codes if you're experiencing these symptoms. A valve body repair or an update kit will fix these issues. The fluids and filters should be replaced about every 60,000 miles to keep things clean and tip-top shape. There are videos on this process, and it's not the hardest thing to do, but it is time consuming. You will need some patience and a bit of know-how for this job. Throttle cable tends to stretch out over time. Basically, if you have to press down the gas pedal further than normal to accelerate, it is stretched out. Now, there is a right way to do this and a way that will work just as good, but it isn't the correct way. You can replace the throttle cable, or you can simply modify it and add some zip ties to act as a stopper of sorts, where the cable attaches to the throttle linkage to help stop the slack. If your door is closed, but the car thinks it's open, most likely the sensor on that door is dirty. You can do quick cleaning that would usually fix the issue. You may have to replace the sensor if that doesn't work. Are you experiencing a coolant leak, engine stalling, overheating, bad fuel economy, loss of acceleration, or white smoke coming from the tailpipe? Well, you may have a bad intake manifold gasket on your 4-liter V6. It's located on top of the engine, and you'll need to basically remove the intake, clean the surfaces, and finally install new gaskets on both sides. If you are experiencing a rough running engine and misfires, but you just can't seem to figure out the issue since the car is getting spark, fuel, and air into all cylinders, you should probably check the compression on each cylinder with a spark plug compression tool. If one cylinder's compression is lower than the others, then most likely the valves are burnt up, or in rare cases, and hopefully this is not your case, the head or block is cracked. You'll need to replace the valves if it is burnt up. Not an easy job to do. Bad flex fuel sensor can also happen. Not super common, but definitely noteworthy. You'll get no starts, or the engine will run rough with a P0176 engine code. The sensor is located right underneath the driver's seat's chassis, and it's easy to locate and replace. If the sensor stops sending good signals to the computer, then you'll start experiencing these issues. The O2 sensor wiring can get scuffed up due to the brackets that secure the wiring breaking, and this can cause a short. This usually blows the number 13 fuse. If you are experiencing this, check your wires. The MultiFunction Switch likes to fail. If you're having issues with the wipers and headlights, you'll need a new switch. It's fairly cheap, and I'll have links to some of the products in the description down below. The Ford Ranger can have a leaking plastic thermostat housing in the 4-liter V6. Replacing the OEM plastic one with an aluminum housing is definitely the best way to go to prevent you from having to do the job again. It is fairly inexpensive as well. Link to the product in the description below. It is a pretty straightforward and easy repair. It will require you to add more coolant because you'll need to drain some out. Guys, that's basically it. The Ford Ranger, even with all its issues, is still extremely reliable. Just because a car has issues, I'm not saying do not get it, just be a bit prepared. All vehicles have their own issues. It seems like that the 4-cylinder engine has very minimal issues, so if you're okay with lacking some horsepower but increasing the miles per gallon, grab the 4-cylinder. But either way, if you take care of both these engines, then they should last well over 200,000 miles. Guys, if this helped you out, be sure to press that like button and subscribe if you want more content just like this. I'm also working on a camper Astro van, so if you're interested in a camper conversion that I'm slowly working on, go ahead and check that out. This is Chris with AutoMotivate. Always appreciate and respect one another. I'll see you next time.